Hello guys, so apparently my PowerPoint doesn't work, so until I figure it out I will not be able to make PowerPoint lessons, but I can still give you lessons the old-fashioned way. Alright, so I've been away from teaching history for several years now, but from what I heard, the Regents has changed, specifically the format. So now it's going to include 10th grade material only, which is great, which means the global regions is going to be easier. There's only about I don't know 30 questions instead of 50, and they're only going to be based on 12 on 10th grade material, sorry, on 10th grade material. So 30 questions based on the 10th grade material should be easy. One thematic, one DBQ, that stuff stays, so it should be easier. So there's no reason not to get anything below I don't know 80 or 90 on this test. Well, you guys should be doing well. Now I don't know how the Regents is going to run, but and I've been away from it for several years, but I made something the old-fashioned way. So the Global Regions Transition Exam is probably going to cover the Enlightenment. It should. It's usually covered in 10th grade. Some teachers cover it in 9th grade. It should be covered in 10th. At least that's where it used to be covered. So Enlightenment. So you have to know John Locke, Rousseau, and Montesquieu. I'm just listing the topics, and then we're going to go into details. You have to know the French Revolution, obviously the three states, Louis XVI, clergy, nobles, the first, the second estate versus commoners. You know, commoners had to pay all the taxes, and they were made up 95% of the population. It's probably going to cover Napoleon, should cover Congress of Vienna, that wanted to put kings back in power. Industrial Revolution has to cover reunification of Germany and Italy. I would imagine it would cover Meiji Restoration, China, especially after 1911. That's when Manchu dynasty was overthrown and Sun Yat-sen was put in power. As well as the Communist Revolution, 1940, what is it, 9? Yeah. Also revolution in Russia. Russian Revolution is going to be there. Russia and USSR, Soviet Union. That should be on the regions. Also World War I and World War II. The Holocaust as well. I don't know if Cold War is going to be there. It's mostly a US history topic, so that's why I put a question mark there. In the past, some global regions in the past had questions that relate to Cold War, but I don't think you need to worry too much about the Cold War. That's why I put a question mark on it. Also, Korean and War in Vietnam War, again, mostly US history topics, but in the past some global history regions had questions on them. Also apartheid, modern genocides. It might cover genocides, in Rwanda, in Yugoslavia in the 90s, among other topics. But this is what I think might be covered, since it's a new exam, Global Regions Transition exam, and I have not seen it. I haven't seen it. I don't know what's going to be on it. So once the exam, it's going to be given in June, and after the exam, it's probably going to be posted online in a few weeks. So once I see it, I'll have a better idea of what's actually going to be on that exam. On this type of exam. Because I have not seen the transition exam yet. It's a brand new exam. this is what I think they should ask you guys, but they might ask you guys something else. But let's go over it. So here's how it's gonna work. I'm gonna have my iPad, and if you can go to that website, the Global History and Regents, and that has Global History and Regents exams, this one that has all the old regencies. What we're going to do is we're going to try to answer questions, 10th grade questions, together. And we're going to try to answer them correctly. Alright, so I haven't done history in a couple of years, and I might remember some of those questions, but I haven't seen them, the answers to them. So let's see if we can do it. So let's actually try the most recent exam, January 2018, but we're only going to cover 10th grade questions. So let's see. So I have this thing opened on my iPad. Now, if you have a tablet or a computer, if you can open this exam and follow along, that would be great. So we'll be able to do that. Once I figure out why my PowerPoint doesn't work, I'll be able to make PowerPoint lessons like I did in the past. But alright, so we're gonna skip that. That's 9th grade. Oh, where does 10th grade begin? I don't think it's gonna have scientific revolution. No. So okay, let's go to page 6. I think that's where 10th grade material really begins. It should have this little picture, like you see right here. So we're gonna start with question number 21. I hope you guys have it open so we can take a look at it. And I haven't had a chance to really look at the recent exam, so let's see if I can get it right. So number 21 is asking which statement. Okay, so it has a political cartoon. First of all, it says basically answering this political cartoon. It says effects of a strike upon a capitalist and upon a working man. Alright, so to answer this question, you have to know the difference between communism and capitalism. So I'm going to make it really short. Capitalists believed in free market. They believe that businesses should run without any regulation. We're talking about pure capitalism, which was, I think the father of capitalism is Adam Smith. But yeah, pure capitalism. And communists, which communism was created by Karl Marx, believed that there's a class tension between an upper class and a working class, which was the lower class. And the upper class wants to oppress the working class, and there needs to be a revolution to overthrow the working class. All right, let's go back to question 21. Which statement reflects the overall effects of labor strikes shown in this cartoon? Is it 1, workers get to take well-earned vacation? Is it 2, workers are deprived of their income and suffer hardships? Is it 3, Employers can manage their business from home. Or is it 4? Employers generally meet workers' demands quickly. Now let's, I know what the answer is, but and I haven't seen this region, but let's use the process of elimination. Number 1 is telling us that workers get to take well-earned vacation. This has nothing to do with this political cartoon. So you have to look at the actual cartoon. You see a man suffering, like he's really poor. So it has nothing to do with it. So we can cross number 1 out. Is it number 4? Employers generally meet workers' demand quickly? Absolutely not. So number 4 is wrong. Now is it 3? Employers can manage their business from home? Absolutely not. So, and you also have to look at the year on the bottom. It says 1852. I think the answer is 2. Workers are deprived of their income and suffer hardships, which is what happened during the Industrial Revolution, which will show up on this test. Industrial Revolution. So for 21, now we're going to double check. I'm going to double check in January 2018 because I haven't seen this regions, but so I'm going to double check my answers, but I think the answer is 2. Workers are deprived of their income and suffer hardships. So, 2. Okay, let's go to question 22, which is also based on this political cartoon. So based on this cartoon, which government policy is most likely influencing the situation described as situation experienced by the working man? Is it 1, laissez-faire? What is laissez-faire? First of all, what is sorry, hope you guys can see it. What is laissez-faire? Laissez-faire, question number 22 on January 2018 Regents. Laissez-faire is hands-off approach to dealing with the economy. Basically, it's a belief that the economy should be unregulated, and there's an invisible hand that's gonna regulate the economy. Basically, government should not interfere. It should just let businesses run the way they want to run their businesses. So, no safety nets, nothing. Just strongest survive. Laissez-faire. Is it 2? Universal suffrage. Now, we can eliminate 2 right away. Universal suffrage, when you see suffrage, it means voting rights. Universal suffrage. Now, suffrage, you will see questions about suffrage on your U.S. regions, United States government regions, because when you're dealing with when women got the right to vote, 19th Amendment. But we're not dealing with U.S. history. I really don't think the question of suffrage, of universal suffrage, will come up on this test. I could be wrong, of course. Could be wrong. They might ask you a question about suffrage under Napoleon when he gave men the right to vote, not women. But once again, you're not dealing with universal suffrage, so you can eliminate number 2. Is it 3? Limiting immigration. This has nothing to do with immigration. You're looking at this cartoon, so cross out number 3. Is it 4? Public sanitation laws? No, absolutely not. So it's laissez-faire, hands-off approach. Pure capitalism, laissez-faire. I think the answer is 1. We're going to go back to it and we're going to double check it. But for number 22, I think the answer is 1, laissez-faire. Right, perfect. Let's go to question 23. It's asking us, which factor aided the Russians in defeating Napoleon's troops? All right, I knew Napoleon, well, I know Napoleon is going to be on that test. They have to ask you a question about Napoleon. So, is it naval blockade? No, because Napoleon just marched on Russia by land, so naval blockade had nothing to do with it. The telegraph system during Napoleon's time, come on, telegraph. So eliminate number 2. Blitzkrieg. That's World War II. You see Blitzkrieg. Well, I mean, where that's when Germans used their airplanes to basically bomb the places that they wanted to conquer. Basically, bomb it to make sure there's very little left. Bomb it quickly. Blitzkrieg. That's World War II. That's what Nazis did. So not Napoleon. Harsh climatic conditions. Absolutely. 23. The answer is 4. Because Russia is cold. You know, when Hitler invaded Soviet Union, you know, he suffered the same fate because he was unprepared for brutal cold conditions of Russia. And you know, it was the fact. So when Napoleon's troops came to Moscow, which was Russia's capital, what Russians did was they burned the city of Moscow to deprive Napoleon of supplies and shelter, because they knew they couldn't defeat Napoleon straight on. So they had a smart tactic of burning the city, and when a lot of Napoleon's troops died of hunger and cold and other conditions, maybe disease, so Russians counterattacked, and Napoleon was eventually, but it was mostly cold. Napoleon was eventually pushed back. So harsh climate conditions. So question 24. After 1880, European colonization was motivated by the... So we're dealing with 1880. Before even reading that, you know what happened in 1884, 85. You have to know that for the regions. 1884, 85. I think it was Berlin Conference. So that's when basically Europeans took a map of Africa and carved it out. Basically each European country. Not all of them, but a lot of them. What they did is they took a piece of Africa. For example, Belgians had a Congo, and you know, basically it was like a big pie. They didn't care about Africans, people who lived in Africa. They just wanted to get a piece of Africa for themselves, so they divided it among themselves. So I know it's going to deal with Africa most likely before reading the questions. So number 1, urge to acquire African technology. Now, a lot of people, some students might pick this one, but that's the wrong answer. Because African technology, Africa didn't have that much. I mean, they had technology, but definitely not at the level of the European countries. So Europeans did not seek to acquire African technology. They wanted African, raw materials, precious metals, or anything they could find. Ivory, definitely. But not technology. Is it to need to increase in production of sugar? Could be number 2, but let's see what else. 3, desire for new markets. Well, 4, demand for labor in America. We can eliminate number 4. No, 24 is tricky. It's not. Also, yeah, in the 1880s, Europeans were not just colonizing Africa. I mean, British were also colonizing India, so they were all over the place. It wasn't just Africa. They also colonized China, and trying to colonize. So, get a piece of China. So, I think it's a desire for new markets for their goods. I mean, definitely, sugar was one of them, but desire for new markets so they could sell their manufactured goods, that makes a lot of sense. Now, don't quote me on this one. We're going to double check it. Hopefully I didn't get that one wrong. I think I didn't. So I think it's desire for new markets. Now, fun fact, even, once, I remember once when I did my training, one of the teachers told me that, even your teachers, if they had to take the Regents, many of them, it's not guaranteed that they would get every single question right. That's why they have the answer key. But I'm doing it without an answer key. So let's see how many I'm going to get right. So question number 25 on January 2018 Regents. The primary goal of the Boxer Rebellion, right, so the Boxer Rebellion will definitely be there. So Boxer Rebellion, let's talk about it. That's when Europeans want to sell opium, which was a drug, to China, and they rebelled. Well, opium trade was one of the reasons. I mean, people in China just basically want to kick Europeans out. So, before even looking at the question, and foreign influence in China, number 1. Okay, let's read other choices. Is it 2? Introduce Marxism in East Asia? Absolutely not. Is it 3? Increase importation of opium. So, this is a tricky question. That's when people look at question number 25, they might get it wrong because they would see the word like opium and they would choose 3. Because, Boxer Rebellion was partly about opium. But the key word here on question 25, is increase. They didn't want to increase, they want to get rid of the drugs. So, no, it's not 3. Just for reverse reforms, but Sun Yat-sen, that's 1911. That's way after that. So it's foreign influence in China. They want to kick foreigners out. So I'm writing it down. So we're gonna check the answers later on. So 25 is 1, and foreign influence in China. So it says basic answers to questions 26 through 28 on the passage below and your knowledge of social studies. All right, let's do that. So the passage, let's read the passage. All right, so I got it right, oh God, so I got it right here. It says, the right course, and the course of which the country, Great Britain, will presently insist upon is to segregate all German residents. There should be no ill treatment, but they must be kept under strict surveillance. An honest man who understands the necessity and will not complain, and it will put an end to activities of the dishonest. One other thing must be done. The formality of naturalization in this country is very simple, and once an alien is naturalized, he passes to a large extent out of power of police. There is a reason to believe that certain type of naturalized German is the most dangerous. Power should be given to cancel temporarily naturalization certificates and where necessary to treat naturalized and alien alike. These might be harsh measures, but war, they talk about war. So I'm looking down, it says 1914, so I know it's World War I. But war is a harsh business. When our soldiers and sailors are giving their lives for this country, it should be a scandal if we endanger the war by any subordinations, by any inaction at home. So, question 26. The main idea of this passage is that during the times of war, is it one, strict surveillance should be limited? It shouldn't be limited. I mean, they're arguing that it should be expanded. So, number 1 is wrong. Question 26. So ill treatment of aliens should be carefully investigated. I don't think that's the right answer. They're not calling for an investigation of ill treatment. Is it 3? Police should have the power to naturalize aliens. Naturalize. So basically, a cop can come to a person who is basically an immigrant, and the cop should have power to naturalized, make them legal citizens or legal residents. It's not number 3. So the only one remains is answer number 4, 26. Some people's rights should be suspended for greater good. Of course. And when you study U.S. history, you're going to learn something about this Supreme Court case. I think it's Shrink versus, it happened during World War I as well. It's Schenck versus US. And you're gonna read about how you shouldn't cry fire in Schenck versus US. I think you shouldn't cry fire in a crowded theater, but we're not talking about US history. Yeah, it's 4. 26 is 4. Alright, so question number 27. January 2018 Regents. So the reasoning presented in this passage could logically lead to German residents being placed in, is 1, combat forces? No. Is it 2, relocation camps? Aha, absolutely yes. Could lead to that. I mean, it happened to Japanese Americans during World War II. Is it 3, government positions? No. Is it 4, munition factory jobs? No, I'm thinking it's 2. Okay, 28. Okay, so which statement offers a view that criticizes the author's argument? Is it 1, prejudice is being presented in a form of patriotism? Yes. I mean, I know that question number 1 is probably the right answer, but I want to read everything out, just in case. Is it 2, self-interest is being sacrificed for the sake of security? Is it 2, appeasement is being suggested as a response to an aggression? Or is it 4, compassion is being portrayed as best policy? No. And it's prejudice is being presented in a form of patriotism. It's prejudice, basically. I mean, they want to segregate all German residents just because they're Germans. I mean, that's prejudice. That's racism, in a way. Although, I mean, Germans are not a race. I mean, it's a nationality, but it's a similar idea. Okay, question 29. Russia. So Bloody Sunday in Russia and Armenian massacre in Ottoman Empire, also known as Armenian genocide. Very debatable topic because, you know, to this day, the government of Turkey does not recognize the Armenian genocide, but a lot of countries do. And, you know, I'm not going to get into that. There's definitely a lot of historical documents that support that. Definitely there was large scale of, there was a massacre of Armenians during the Ottoman Empire, but I'm not going to get into debate of genocides. But basically, is it 1, scorched earth policy? No. Is it 2, forced migrations? No. It's 3, human atrocities. Of course, it's human atrocity. People get killed. It's a human atrocity. It's not 4. It's not political revolution. It's human atrocity. It's 3. 29. The answer is 3. Okay, 30. Okay, which event led Russia to withdraw from World War I and surrender a significant amount of territory to Germany? Question number 30. Death of Vladimir Lenin? No, Lenin, that's 1917, the Russian Revolution. So, the Russian Revolution happened primarily because Russian people were unhappy due to Russia's losses in World War I, but they were also unhappy about the Tsar, who was treating them poorly. And communists were really smart because what they did is they promised them bread, peace, and, you know, land. Now, did communists deliver on these messages? Of course not. On these messages? No. But they made a promise. So, is it seizure of power by Bolsheviks? Absolutely yes. 1917. Remember, World War I ended in 1918, but 1917, Communist Revolution, Russia gets out of World War I. So the answer is 2, but let's see. 3, Yalta Conference, that's after World War II, that's the peace conference, where you would see Churchill, Roosevelt, and Stalin. And number 4 is actually, so question 30, number 4 is one of the causes for World War I. That's the cause of World War I. Assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. That's the cause. So the answer for 30 is actually 2. It is 2. Alright, so Kemal Ataturk is best known for helping Turkey. Now, before we even look at the answers, I know he modernized Turkey. He wanted Turkey to be modern. Secular society. Secular means non-religious. So, it's 1. What do you know? Number 1, modern and secular state. That's the right answer. But let's see what else. It's imperialism. Power in Africa. Number 2, no, it's wrong. Communist country with Soviet Union. Theocratic country. When you see theocracy, it means country run by religion. So, you know, the answer is 1. 31, it's 1. Done. 32. Major purpose of 5-year plans in the Soviet Union was to increase production of steel and machinery. That's the right answer. 32. Question. The answer is 1, but let's see. What else? Is to produce more consumer goods? No. The problem with the Soviet Union, I mean, one of the reasons why the Soviet Union collapsed was because it was not efficient. It could not produce more consumer goods. So, for example, in the 80s, the people in the Soviet Union, they were craving simple things like jeans, VCR players. What else? Western clothes, Western movies, anything made in the West, Western technology. And there was a black market for that in the Soviet Union. Simply because the Soviet economy was not designed to produce consumer goods. I mean, it's not that it didn't produce consumer goods, but it was a command economy. And when you have command economy, when the government produces everything, there's no competition. So there's no incentive to get better, to produce better stuff. So like what we have in the United States and Western Europe, when it comes to capitalism, there's competition. So, for example, if, you know, I'm running a company, but a competing company is making computers, let's say computers, and they made something better. The computer is selling for a lot better than mine. So what I would want to do is I would want to make a better computer, or make something better. So I would want to innovate it. There's innovation, there's incentive to innovate, so that this would force consumers to buy my stuff rather than stuff from my competitor. So alright, let's get back to that. Question 32, the answer is 1. Oh yeah, it's not 3. Eliminate central planning and seek foreign investment. The answer is 1. Alright, so we are on this. You should be seeing this. Letter pyramid. And it says, based on your answer to question 33 on the chart below, any knowledge of social studies. So let's look at the chart. On top you have World War II. Next you have military invasions. Germany invades Poland. Italy attacks Ethiopia. Japan invades China. So Germany, Italy, and Japan were actually allies. Oh, they were known as Axis powers, but they were allied with each other during World War II. Rise of fascist leaders. Hitler, Germany, Mussolini, Italy, and Tojo, Japan. Failure of European world economies. And world economies, high unemployment, of course. I mean, in the United States we had the Great Depression. Or of course, you're not dealing with the United States and global regions. Failure of banks, and start of Great Depression. Oh, Great Depression, United States. What do you know? Treaty of Versailles. So Treaty of Versailles was one of the worst treaties in the history of human history. So, because basically after World War II, the Treaty of Versailles was where Germany had to pay reparations, lose the colonies, and take blame for causing the war, even though Germany did not cause the war. They have to take the blame. So a lot of German people got really upset. Got really upset. So this led to the rise of Hitler. this led to the rise of radicals. Because without that treaty, Hitler would not have gotten the support that he got in Germany. So this treaty that Europeans forced on Germany is partially responsible for the rise of Nazi elements in Germany. So what would be the best title for this chart? Definitely, is it 1, events during World War I? No. Even though it says World War I on the bottom. Is it 2, totalitarian regimes? No. Is it between what? 3, economic probably between wars? No. I mean, this question could be a little bit confusing. You can see why some students might pick 1, 2, or 3, but the answer is actually 4. Causes of World War II. I mean, I would actually argue that, and many historians would argue that World War II is actually a continuation of World War I. So it's not a separate conflict, but rather a continuation of the same tensions that caused World War I, same nationalist tensions. Basically, after World War I, they took took a little break. They took, what was that? It was 1918, so they took 20-year break, a little over 20 years, 21-year break, and they went at it again. So it's basically a continuation. But traditionally it's called World War II. So it's 4, causes of World War II. World War II. But basically answers to question 34 and 35 on the passage below. Any knowledge of social science, alright? It says, I mention all these details, which I remember so clearly, in order to give sense of shock that would suffer when the wall came upon us one night. That we were in Berlin, at the crossroads between East and West, the junction of 2 fundamentally different cultures. And suddenly we were locked up like canaries in a cage, literally from one day to the next, from being vibrant and cultured city. Berlin subsided into a drowsy torpor, and of a midsummer afternoon in provinces, we will be imprisoned in a dull, flat country. So it's 1989 revolutions. Right, basically Berlin Wall came. Let's talk about the Berlin Wall. So, building a barrier between East and West Berlin, I mean, that would be too easy, and that is probably the right answer. That is the right answer. It even talk about, they're even talking about the wall. So, it's not formation, Warsaw Pact, it's not occupation of Germany, it's not Berlin airlift. 34, the answer is 1. Alright, so 35. The historical event reflected in this passage symbolized the ideological tensions between, so, question 35, is it church and state? No. Church and state, since, I don't think they're going to have that on the new regions, because it's a temporary material. Is absolute monarchy and fascism? No. No. It's democracy and communism. That's modern history. It's not Axis power, not Allied powers. That's World War II. So 35, the answer is the only one that makes any sense. It's 3. Democracy and communism. You're right. So let's see. How many questions do we have? Ooh. Okay. Right, question 36. It says, we, the people of South Africa, declare for all our country and the world to know that South Africa belongs, so we have to read this passage right here. South Africa belongs to all who live in it, black and white, and that no government can justly claim authority based on the will of all people. That our people have been robbed of their birthright to land, liberty, and peace by a form of government funded in justice and inequality. That our country will never be prosperous or free until all people live in brotherhood, enjoying equal rights and opportunities. that only a democratic state based on the will of all people can secure to all their birthright without distinction of color, race, and belief. It's interesting that they're using the British spelling for color. Alright, next. And therefore we, the people of South Africa, black and white together, equals, countrymen and brothers, adopt the Freedom Charter, and we pledge ourselves to strive together, sparing neither strength nor courage, until democratic changes are set out have been won. So it's basically talking about apartheid. So question 36. Demand the country have what? Opportunity to combat enemies. Opportunities to combat. It's not one, is it two? Equality, of course, equality for all citizens. It's not three, it's separate. Sovereign states, it's not four. Distinct economic reforms. It's equality for all citizens, it's two. Question 36 is two. 37. The Freedom Charter was written in response to the policy of apartheid. Well, right away, you know it's apartheid. It's not convenient. It's not all the choices don't make sense. It's apartheid. For it's the only one that makes sense. All right, so now you have a little political cartoon right here. So I see someone who looks like Gorbachev because he's bald, and a broken hammer and sickle, which symbolize communism. And I would imagine they're talking about Soviet Union. So, which set of problems most directly contribute to the situation shown in this 1991 cartoon featuring Mikhail Gorbachev? Is it 1. Refusal to adopt and accept aid from Marshall Plan? No. Is it 2. Forced famine in Ukraine and rebellions in the gulags? No. 3. Invasions by foreign troops in Soviet cities under military siege? No. Is it 4. Deteriorating Soviet economy and successionist republics desiring independence? Absolutely. Soviet economy was in terrible shapes, and once the Soviet Union was made of 15 republics, so once these republics wanted to be separate from Russia, the only way to get them back was to invade them, which is what Soviet Union would have done in the past. But in 1991, it didn't want to go to war again because, remember, it just ended the war in Afghanistan several years before that. A 10-year war in Afghanistan where the Soviets suffered heavy losses. So they did not want to go back to that situation of having to send troops to those republics. I mean, that's the only thing that would have held the Soviet Union together. Troops and war. So, 4. That's the right answer. Okay, question 39. One way in which the actions of Ho Chi Minh and Fidel Castro, so right away I know the communist leaders, Ho Chi Minh, that's Vietnam, North Vietnam, eventually Vietnam. Fidel Castro, Cuba, are similar to both leaders. Is it 1. Eliminate contact with all major foreign powers? No. Is it 2. War revolutionists who established communist regimes? That's absolutely right. Is it 3. Strengthen and modernize democratic governments? No. Is it 4. Promote religious freedom? No. So it's 2. 39 is 2. That's the only one that makes sense. Fidel Castro. And if you want to know more about Fidel Castro and Ho Chi Minh, I suggest you guys watch one of my past lessons about communism that I made. I mean, not about, it's called the Cold War. And that video talks about the stuff in detail. That's where you're really going to learn a lot about communism and a lot about Cold War, a lot about these guys. So, but yeah, the answer is 2. Now let's see. Question 40. We're almost there. You see this little thing? That's what you should be looking at. It's January 2018 Regents. Just to remind you guys. Question 40. 40. So, which is the main idea of this 2006 cartoon? Is it 1. The exportation of electronic information is essentially a Chinese economy? So I'm looking at this cartoon. I see the Great Wall and I see like a highway says information superhighway. Actually, is it 2. The flow of electronic information into China is controlled. I think it's 2, but let's see. Is it 3? China create information superhighway? No. It's 4. The Great Wall protects Chinese information from being hacked. So we're very lucky to be living in the United States, because for the most part, well, essentially, our internet is, I mean, the government does not censor the internet for the most part. Of course, you know, if there's something illegal or so forth, you know, government will censor it. But for the most part, we're free to, you know, browse the internet and search about democracy, communism, anything we want to. You know, we're free to, for the most part, if we write, you know, our opinions about the government, as long as they're fair. For the most part, you know, we can do that in a free society. Now, in other countries like China, and you can't do that. You know, you can get arrested for doing that. So, and similarly, you cannot, like if you, let's say you open Google in China, and you try to search about democracy and other things, you wouldn't be able to search it because it's blocked. A lot of those websites are blocked, and Google actually cooperates a lot with the government of China because they won't have access to that market. So the answer is, it's 2. I think it's 2. It has to be 2. Number 40 is 2. The flow of electronic information to China is controlled. Okay. Question 41. Which statement about green revolution? So green revolution. So do we want to improve our climate? We want to stop global warming, or now it's called climate change. So let's see. It's a fact rather than opinion. So question 41. When you have facts and opinion question, guys, you have to be able to get it even without knowing anything about history. You know, I was dealing with kids who were much younger than anyone who was in high school, and facts and opinions, and that's, I mean, most of you probably remember these types of questions from elementary school. Fact is something that's true, and opinion is what you think is true but unproven. So fact and opinion, you have to know this stuff. That's, you don't want to lose points because you couldn't know what a fact and opinion is. So the use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides has increased the yield. That's fact. It's not 1. 2. The use of sophisticated technology, tools and technologies is the only way to prevent famine. That's opinion. Number 2 is opinion, but let's see what else. 3. Drawbacks of using chemicals in agriculture outweigh the benefits. It looks like an opinion, but it's a fact. 4. The cost of bioengineered agriculture technologies is too expensive. It's an opinion. Oh, actually, wait a minute. Fact rather than opinion. So they're looking for a fact. So number 1 is the only fact. So 2 is an opinion. 3 is an opinion because outweigh the benefits. That's what you think. Number 4 is talking about opinion because the keyword is too expensive. For number 2, the keyword is too only way. So for number 41, the only one that's the fact is, so 2, 3, and 4 are opinions, and number 1 is a fact because they talk about numbers. Has increased the yield per unit of land in some regions, the use of chemical fertilizers. 41 is 1. 42. In the 20th and 21st centuries, Kurds in Iraq, Palestinians in Israel, and Chechens in Russia have protested and fought to achieve, well, they want to achieve independence, all of them. It's not 1, so right away I know it's 4, independence statehood. Alright, so let's see. Look at this. Political cartoon. Oh, she looks scary. Let's see. You trade a car for a Russian. You trade a car to a Russian for a handle of magic what? And it says plutonium. Oh, it's plutonium. Oh, it's a spread of nuclear material. Oh, yeah, because once the Soviet Union dissolved, there was a danger of the nuclear material would be sold to highest bidder. So yeah, it's not 1, it's not 2, it's not 4, it's 3. Plutonium is nuclear material. As one of the elements you need for, okay, it's nuclear. So question 44. It says, Buddhism practiced in China, Spanish is spoken in Mexico, potatoes are grown in Russia, it's cultural diffusion, right away you know. These statements represent examples of cultural diffusion. So 44, for question 44, we're not going to spend too much time on it because it's an easy question. It's 1. 45. One effect of Neolithic revolution was to... We're going to skip number 45. Talk about Neolithic revolution, that's not going to be on new regions because that's 10th grade material, so we're going to skip question number 45. Question 46. Base your answer to question 46 on the passage below and your knowledge of social studies. These pairs are not only means through, though there are sheep, but which the black traders on the coast of supplied. Okay, small parties of them from 5 to 10 are frequently brought to the house of traders and by those who make the practice of kidnapping and those who constantly employ in procuring a supply while purchases are found. Okay, we're going to skip this now 46 too. They talk about the slave trade. I don't think it's going to be on the Regents. Okay, so let's skip 45 and 46. Okay, question 47. Okay, so it says climate change. We see it. So you should be seeing that. It's an iceberg. So we agreed to sign pledge to hold another meeting to consider changing the course at a date to be determined. So basically, based on this and world leader, it looks like the Titanic. So basically, they're implying that the ship is falling because the world leaders can't do anything. And you see the smoke that's coming out of that ship. So, is it 1, world leaders, which they may reflect the main idea of this 2019 world leaders have done what could to address climate change? No. World leaders are considering long-term impacts of climate change. Oh. I don't think so. I don't think number 2 is the right answer. 3. Climate change is not a serious problem. Of course it is. Right in world leaders. So I think it's 4. Pledges and meetings have resulted in little significant action. So they're just talking. It's blah blah blah. Just talking about doing something, but they're not actually doing it. And the good thing about those political cartoons is that you can tell a lot just by looking at it. I mean, you also have to use the knowledge of social studies, but for 47, the answer is 4. 48. Basic answer to question 48 on the passage below in your knowledge of social studies. It says the events in suburbs of Moldavanka, Lobotka, and Bugorka in Russia last night were the most terrible nature. So I'm thinking that it's talking about pogroms. So let's see. Immersed bands of ruffians, accompanied by policemen, invaded all the Jewish houses and mercilessly slaughtered the occupants. And the massacre in Odessa. Yeah, pogroms. So anti-Semitic events in this passage, as these contribute to which movement? Zionism is the right answer. It's not solidarity, that's Poland. It's not separation. It's not liberal Zionism, which was when basically Jewish people wanted to immigrate and create a country, create Israel. So that's Zionism. Which is number 1. 48, the answer is 1. 49, the technological advances of Ashley We're gonna skip 49 because it's not gonna be on the test. I know why they do it, because like later on the Regents they were supposed to put 10th grade questions, but that's the 9th grade question. We're gonna skip 49. Just go to this question, question 50. And that's not gonna be on the test either, because the timeline is way before that. Alright, so I think we've covered a little bit. Next time I'll try to have a more thorough lesson, but before we leave, I want to check if I got these questions right, because I haven't looked at the answers, and it's not like I haven't been wrong before. I have, and I haven't done history in a while. I've been doing other things, so once you don't do something for a little while, you tend to forget something. You tend to forget things. So I'm not as good as I used to be, but I still remember history. So let's see. Let's see if I still remember it. So this is the scoring key. I haven't seen it before, but we're gonna go over it. So as you know, for this Regents we started at question 21. The answer was 2. And it is 2. Excellent. 22, the answer was 1. And it is 1. Perfect. 23, the answer was 4. Excellent. 24, the answer was 3. 25 is 1. Perfect. 26 is 4. Check. 27 is 2. 28 is 1. 29 is 3. 30 is 2. 31 and 32 are 1s. 34 is... 33 is 4. 31... 34 is 1, 35 is 3, 36 is 2, 37, 38 are 4s, 39 is 2, 40 is 2, 41 is 1, 42 is 4, 43 is 3, 44 is 1. What else did we do? 47, that's 4. 48 is 1, and that's it. What do you know, I actually got all of them right. Maybe I should do a more detailed presentation next time. So obviously, you know, it's going to be a brand new exam, the transition exam. So I mean, I don't know what it's going to have, because I haven't seen it. And once I see the exam, I'm gonna, you know, when they're gonna post it, is it gonna be probably in July? I'm gonna know a lot more about it. Right now I don't. So once I know a lot more about it, I'll be able to post a more detailed review. But this is my short review for the global Regents. I might post something before the global. I might. Don't quote me on that. I might. But I was going to make a lesson on PowerPoint, but apparently, since I have Windows 10 and I have a really old PowerPoint program, it's PowerPoint 2010. Even though I have a really good camera, well, I think I have to do. So, but it refuses to record sound. Now I will figure it out. I always do, but it might take me time since technology is not my forte. But if you have any questions, let me know, and we'll go over it. Also, you know, if there are topics that I skipped that you want me to go over in my next review, let me know, because, you know, I've been away from teaching history for a while. It's actually been when was the last time I prepared students for a history exam? I think it's 2018. I think it was 3 years ago. Yeah. So it's been a while. So, but let me know if you have any questions. I might post something new before the exam. Take care.